Hello, everybody. Here on the ground for AWS reInvent 2022. No, this isn't a Zoom background. I am actually here a day early. And because of that, I thought I'd put together a little bit of a wish list for things I am not expecting, but hoping from reInvent 22. I know that usually mine are all security related, but this year we've had a lot of fun building out learning content, hands-on labs, classroom training style sessions within AWS for our customers. And so I'm going to come at this from a bit of a developer experience DevRel scenario. I would love to see Cloud9 get some more features. And if not, a Cloud9 automated style version of VS Code for spinning those environments up. Spinning up Cloud9 environments is amazing. We basically use it as the terminal and IDE and computer, if you will, for all of our kind of classroom workshops, because it guarantees that everyone's got the same versions of libraries, components, etc., installed. They can do it on an iPad if they wanted to, because it's just in browser. It really solves a lot of the problems when we're trying to squeeze a lot of content into kind of a 1 or 2 hour workshop to make sure everyone's on the same page. Couple of issues. I would absolutely love if you could share Cloud9 environments between AWS orgs. There is a share API. It doesn't work if you try cross org, which stops a single proctor having like all the accounts that they can jump into and help out with, which especially for online, that would be so useful when we're hosting like Zoom based online training and someone puts their hand up with an issue. And also you cannot automate an existing EC2 host or an existing host anywhere via SSH to be a Cloud9 instance. You can do it through the AWS console, but it's not in the SDK, it's not in the Terraform modules, it's just not documented. So you have to spin up a new EC2 instance as part of the Cloud9 provider, and that's a pain because then there's no way of pre-installing all the tools and all the things that you might want already there. There is a way around it. I've written a little Medium post and a script which uses an undocumented API, which has worked for a good year, and we actually do use that as part of our automation. So if that rings any bells with you and you want that, see this link. So they're the kind of things I'd love to see in Cloud9, and just kind of more feature parity across Cloud9. For example, it doesn't use ARNs, which is probably why you can't share it across accounts. It's just like a random environment UUID. So just a bit more development on Cloud9, I think, as well. Last year, people might remember as well that there's this thing called AWS Event Engine internally, which I was ranting I would love a public version of. It basically allows AWS to auto-provision throwaway accounts for like tens or hundreds of attendees of virtual classrooms for learning and things like that. I've since learned that kind of does already exist in a public or at least partner consumable way with the AWS Jam interface. That's kind of cool. In fact, to that end, as a partner, we've actually written an AWS demo jam that you can sit while you're at reInvent this year. It's a capture the flag. It's based around a vulnerable bank. You exploit it with the Log4j vulnerability and then look at implementing security practices to secure that environment. So it's called Break the Bank, then Secure the Bank. Our jam writer title people were on strike, so we probably need a better name, but do check it out if you have time this week as well. And back to the wish list. So talking of UX in general, I was reading another ComSum, commenter extraordinaire, Phil Basford's wish list. Completely agree with his comment about better tooling around step functions, the ability to kind of test those step functions with dependent services locally rather than having to kind of throw them into AWS, wait for your CI and see. And even personally, I think the tooling to do that locally with Lambda could be improved massively. We use step functions hugely in our product automation, so yeah, that would be a big one. On to security. And I'm not going to talk about an individual product or a service going, oh, I wish this particular service had this feature. I just want to see more UX around easy to implement security. I basically want security by default easy buttons. And I know there's a million caveats with that because not everyone wants the same thing. And it's not for people like myself or people in cybersecurity per se. It's the teams that are small or startups and just getting started. and maybe don't have that level of time or security expertise, we really should have the ability to create a secure by default account rather than going through a checklist of securing an AWS account. I know that we can enforce things with Control Tower. Why not create an option where we can actually just create all those turned on by default? The idea of like cross-service UX and visibility as well. If you look at kind of everything as an independent service, which is obviously the AWS mantra, security is where that kind of breaks down for me. I would love to see some like overlay services which secretly consume many of the AWS services behind the scenes, but present like a single set of data, a single set of actions across multiple services without expecting people to learn and understand working and wiring like 6 security related services together. Again, just to make it easier for people to know they're doing the right things with security, even if they don't necessarily know what those right things are. To that end, I will be attending STP 306 about making sure a startup is layering the right amount of security as they go through their kind of growth with AWS, and SUP 309. I'll be attending both of those sessions with interest to see what the current kind of 2022 guidance is for securing those kind of smaller environments. And I'm sure I will give my take following those on Tuesday and Wednesday. So yes, if you guys are at reInvent, enjoy. If you're watching online, enjoy, and enjoy not having to queue for coffee. And for those here, I will see you there.